Hello there, hello there, hello there. Welcome to Open the Door. This is where we do a nice feedback session for the tracks that people have submitted to the Open the Door mailing list. And for those of you interested, we'll be handing out that information all the way through. I'm going to bring in a special guest right now. That's Daps, my partner in rhyme from Compound Audio. Hello, hello, hello.
Easing up. Hello, hello, hello.
Welcome
back. I'm very well, thank you. We are back once again.
Once again. And it's really cool because, you know, the last few of these have been really intense and really good. And what we've thought we would do now, Daps and I had a little discussion about it. It was to do one of these a month. And if you want to send your tracks in, you can just go to djrap.com and under the Join the Tribe tab, there is an Open the Door tab. And that is where you sign up. And only people who sign up on my mailing list can submit tracks, but anyone can join the stream, and there's lots of you joining now, and that's wonderful to see. How has your month been, Daps?
It's been up and down, really, to be honest. Good, all good points, mind you, but just work, as always. Working with some really cool people, some new labels. So, yeah, I've just been really looking forward to tonight as well. You know, it's been a while since we've done one of these.
Yeah, we've certainly missed doing them. So let's say hello to a couple of people. We're so wondering how Seth got in the chat before we went live. Seth, hello, yeah. How are you? Big shout to everyone who's joining in. Hi, Chaz, State Line, William, Danny, host. Oh, no, that's me. And,
host. Who's the host?
Who's the host with the most? So how this works for people who join, we are live on YouTube, Twitch and Facebook. And how this works is we do about 10 tracks because that takes about 2 hours. And Daps and I thought the best way to handle this would be he's going to load them up in his DAW and he will talk about mix, mastering if it needs it, EQing. He'll show a bit of that as well. And, you know, tonal advice, just basic stuff, whatever we're feeling. And then he hands it over to me and we'll talk about arrangement, sounds, what's missing, and I'll put my 2 cents in. I will say this, it's always just an opinion. You know, this is always here to support new artists. That's what we want to do. This is a free service to support you so you can get your tracks heard by the masses. And we're here to help you. We do a lot of things to help new artists because you guys are the next generation. And also for my own personal need is I'm always looking for artists to sign. So it's great. It helps everybody. And, you know, it's good for us. And Daps and I certainly enjoy it. Mm. Right.
Yep. So big ups to everybody inside, the chat crew popping off already.
Nice one. Big shout to everybody. So let's dive straight in, shall we? I'm going to put your door up, Daps, and then we can check this all out. I'm just going to make my screen big. All right. I think the first tune we should look at is Scott Mail, and it's called Jaded in Japan, Pressure. So I'm sorry you were jaded in Japan. It's a lovely place to visit. If you're jaded there, I'm pretty sure you're screwed everywhere else. Be happy. All right, let's get into this and listen to it for about, you know, let's go down to the first breakdown probably.
Yeah, no worries. Right, so track 1, let's do this. Lovely stuff. Lovely stuff.
Awesome.
I love a bit of old school, me. You know me. I've restored a hell of a lot of the old school stuff for various labels. So this is right up that street. And considering this is like new, I'm guessing it's new. You've then got to think to yourself, how do you go about mixing it? Is it going to be mixed to a modern level? So it can, you can mix it with modern tunes, break tunes, or you want to keep it old school so it kind of works with that 90s vibe, if you see what I'm saying. It is a tricky one. So for me, I think the tune's great. There's something happening in the mids on that pad. So I want to play the track again in various ways, like in mono and in sides, to see if we can identify what that problem was. So yeah, for me, it's this pad around here. So I'm going to just solo that area. Here. So for me, that's really strong in the mix. I would try and back that off. Because it just seems to consume a lot of the space. And then on the drop, yeah, when the Amon comes in on this drop here, it's very, very full on. I would be prone to sort of reduce the area between like 4K, 8K, just tame the Amon a little bit and then raise it up to make up the frequencies that you've reduced in volume, that is. So, as I say, how would you go about mixing this, modern or old school? If it was to be old school, I would leave the tonal aspect as it is, but just look at that, that pad, that sort of road pad, bring that back in the mix a bit, try and tame the Amon in the top end a little more. If you wanted to go more modern sounding, you're going to need to add a hell of a lot of air into this mix, so it's a lot more shiny, which would be around here. And then for me, that's a bit more balanced in terms of what's happening. So in a nutshell, I would sort of look at the Amon, reduce that there, the highs of that 4K to 8K, and then look at around the lower mids of 200, because it's very like boomy, boxy, if you want to use that term. And then if you want to go modern, boost a hell of a lot of 16K, 18K just for air. But otherwise, absolutely brilliant tune, wicked. You instantly know it's old school. It's great. Well done.
I really like this track a lot because so many reasons. One, he's really captured that old school vibe, and I come from the place of let's make a great vibey track first and worry about the details later, the technical aspect, the sound design, the mixing, the mastering. That can all be fixed. And I always say these in these streams, you can't polish a turd. So, the tune has to have legs. It has to have something interesting. And this is an interesting tune all the way through. And I love that. My initial notes when I was listening to it was, I was like, easy to mix. This is a really great old school track. Lots of vibes. A lot of people try to make old school and they just think you throw an Amon in and some sort of sub bass, but to actually have something with vibe, the thing about old school is it still sounds good 30, 40 years later. So you want to make a tune that still sounds good, and this will still sound good all the time. It will be timeless, and that's really rare, and I think that's really important to note. I want to make sure that you make use of your transitions in the beginning of the track, just before each drop. Either they're very low in the mix and I can't hear them, but make sure you use those effects, those transitions. It doesn't have to be the staple reverse cymbal and all that stuff. You can find different ways of making transitions, whether it's a click, a clap, a bit of a voice, a sample, something. But there needs to be a transition because that will make it, or it's the devil's in the details. It's all those little stops and dropouts and things that make the track interesting, so it's not just constantly rolling along. So make sure there are effects for those transitions. I really like the drums, and I thought it was an interesting choice and a brave choice to not bring the heavy drums in right away. That's something I've not seen done before. And in this track, it worked. Ordinarily, I would be like, that's taking a risk. But in this track, because it's an old school track, because it's not particularly a DJ track that you might go out and just DJ with jump up or the other things, it worked. People are going to listen to it. It's got that vibe. And old school tracks always progress. They were never the same. One of my pet peeves these days with music is that after you've heard the first 16 bars, you've pretty much heard the tune, right? Whereas old school tracks are just constantly different, and they often throw everything in there, the kitchen sink. So I like that. I thought that was a great, brave choice. I do think the drums needed some work at the beginning, especially because the hard amens come in and they're great, but the intro drums and everything that comes in before that, maybe some parallel compression could be good to beef the drums up a little bit, so it's not such a shock when the amens come in and they're not so far apart from each other. And often what you can do with parallel compression is you can just have either on ascend, or you could just double the drums up and put the compression up really high and then just bring that up in volume to underneath it as a send sort of thing. So I do that a lot with vocals as well, but sometimes it just makes the drums a little dirtier and a bit lo-fi. You could also put some redux on there or some lo-fi on there to make them sound like that. What do you like to use, Daps, to make stuff sound a bit old but dirty? Do you know what I mean? Is there a plugin you like in particular?
There is some particular plugins which is actually called Dirty Tape, and you can run that across it. I think it's from Softtubes, and it was free at one point, now it's a paid plugin. But yeah, there's various things like saturation, cutting the highs, and then the lows as well, and then just really focusing on the mid range with saturation or distortion, just to help it grit it out a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, also there are plugins you can use like Rift or Trash, Isotope, all those things, and put an affected pair of drums underneath and just experiment. There's no rules, right? But overall, I think it's a great job. I love the arrangement. I think it's really good, really strong track. And I think whether you should make it a modern master or an old school one is your choice. You have to decide, do I want to keep this authentic and make it sound like it was made in 1991 or something, or do I want it to match old school? Personally, I think both would be fine in this instance.
Yeah.
Good job.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, moving on then.
Let's go next to Robert Nicholson, and this track is called, I'm not sure, it's a State Line or Number One Blammer. I'm not really sure what that means, but anyway, without any further ado.
Let's do this.
Set to pierce through your muffle. The pig truffle bandit, bully in your sandpit. Munch up your banquet, then bolt on your toe like I planned it. Rips dark like a tan shit. Mind off the gambit, I flex like banner. Strange to see me with free satellite scanner. Box where I coached out to Socrates grammar. Known round my town as the number one blammer. The number one blammer. Like carcass, I cover literature like bookmarkers. Stick to tracks like a plaster. Dub master, blamming up my name on your plaster cast. Represent the neighborhoods where disasters. Poison in my green pastures, where I grew up. Feeding off the money in my town till I threw up. I slurp another brew up. I'm tripping over like I didn't do my shoe up. So I shuffle, my voice wakes boys set to pierce through your muffle. The pig truffle bandit, bully in your sandpit. Munch up your banquet, then bolt on your toe like I planned it. Rips dark like a tan shit. Mind off the gambit, I flex like banner. Strange to see me with free satellite scanner. Box tight to Socrates' grammar. Known round my town as the #1 blammer. Blammer. The #1 blammer.
Nice, nice.
Awesome. That reminds me of that Fatboy Slim track.
Okay, yeah.
Which one is it now? Oh gosh. Oh, it'll come. I've just had a brain fart. It'll come back to me, but just reminded me of it. It'll come back to me in a second.
So the track's cool. I mean, the concept behind it is brilliant. You know, it's all about the vocal. You know, it stands up well. For me, it needs a hell of a lot of low end and it needs a lot of top end. So I don't know if you noticed, while we were playing the tune and listening to the tune, I got out the Ivory 5, which is a bit like a Mazalek ME2 EQ, and also some Fresh Air, because this is an amazing plugin just for adding tops, hence the name Fresh Air. So if I play the track and then bypass these two plugins, notice the difference. So with
The #1 blammer.
it just kind of feels like it goes away from you. So looking at this analyzer here, we can see that this dark area above 10k, there is absolutely no information whatsoever.
Box where I coach tight to Socrates' grammar. Known round my town as.
And also looking at it on span, you can see that it starts rolling off at 10k. It's quite early. I get it if you want that sort of analog feel or the sort of dulled tone, but it is very, very dull. And as an effect, you're getting this hump, which is, I guess, in the vocal. So I'm just going to solo what this hump is.
I'm tripping over like a dick. I wrote a crusty beat like carcass. I cover literature like.
So yeah, that's the vocal. So because you've rolled the tops and you've rolled the low end, you've created like a hump in the middle. So by adding these two plugins, it's really give it a smiley face, like an old school smiley face, and that's what it needs. It needs a lot of love in the low end and top end. So I'm going to put these plugins back on again. We'll have a listen. It's kind of introduced a little bit of energy in the tops now. You can see that there's a little bit of colour coming through now. The separation between the kick and the bass, these red blobs at the bottom, is absolutely brilliant. So you can see the bass is on its own, the kick's just above it. Whether they're sort of sitting harmonically in the same key, it does look like you're in A. The other thing I noticed as well is that your snare is hitting to the left. When it comes to the main drums, the backbone of the drums, the kick, the snare, and the sub, they all have to be, you know, focused down the center. They have to be mono. It's the white noise or the clap or the top layers on the snare that can be wide, because, you know, that's the ear candy. Further up the scale, you can be wider. But in this particular you know, situation, you've got a break for a snare, but you can hear it. It's like flicking off to the left, and it'd be nicer if it was focused in the mono. So you can hear it now, look.
I wrote a crusty beat like carcass. I cover literature.
And then obviously when we go back to stereo, you can hear it moving back over to the left. So, I mean, other than these EQ differences, it's just tonal balance for me. If this is the track in itself, for me, it's just tonal balances. So bring the sub up, bring the high end up in the actual elements of the tune, the drums, the elements, you know, the pads and whatnot, the main keys. And in the vocal, try and get some sort of dynamic EQ around 600 to 800 hertz, just to help remove that nasal sort of feel to it. Other than that, it's good to go. Right, what we saying?
Right, I really like this. Yeah, it is Funk Soul Brother. That's the one. Thank you because that was driving me mad. It reminds me of that vibe. I really, really like it. Okay, so One of the things that I heard only happen once in the track, but obviously we didn't listen to it all the way through to the end on this, was that little transition you did where you went da 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 da, you dropped the beats out, and I can't remember what part of the track it was, but anyway, there was this nice edit. To me, it needs more of those edits, more of those dropouts where the vocal just hangs and you do that, something where he ties his shoelaces, I think you said, or something, I don't know. Anyway, more of those dropouts, more use of hats, rides, shakers. Like you've got the same thing happening. So bun, cha, 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 drop out, vocal hang, and then bring in a ride or something. You want to keep it going and always building. I know I have this stupid analogy, but I always think about it. Train lands at the station, picks up passengers, hats, picks up the next station, rides, picks up and keep going, and then you can subtract and take away, and your track will always have these nice, interesting momentum going for it. So I think that's important to do that. For me, you could have, and I don't know where this vocal's from, this is in its own genre as it is. Wherever you decide to release this, it would make the most sense to have remixes, because you could absolutely have a massive track on your hands if it was more in a, and I don't mean jump up in the sense of horns and elephants, I just mean more tight clippy drums, snappier drums. This is just what I'm saying. Like when you go to sign this track or whatever, I would ask you to definitely do, experiment with different remixes, because I think the track could be really good. For me, I like the drums, but it's a little bit 90s 90, whereas like if you wanted to bring this modern, more like jump tight drums, if you listen to the sort of drums like Boo does or something like that, those sort of tight drums, and a bit more bounce to it, it could really take off, because it's a bit like boom ga ba ba to do, where instead of like and it needs to me I wanted to see it. I would play it if it had that bounce in it. Do you know what I mean? But as it is, absolutely fine. That's your choice. The reason I say that is I wonder what you listen to, and if you were like, no, I was aiming for that genre. I'm not actually aiming for D&B in the same way that is played by every DJ. So one of the things I say to producers, I do think about who is going to be playing these tracks. Are you, and of course we don't know when you send these tracks to us what your goals are. You can always put that in the email and say, my goal for this track is this, I'm not really interested in DJs playing it, it's more about the radio, and that helps us to know. Obviously, but yeah, so I would think about, who do you want to play it? Is this a radio track? Is this a genre track? And part of an album? Then it's cool. But if it was a single and you wanted DJs to play, then I would really invite you to do a remix that is more DJ friendly in that sense. Again, your choice completely. I love the track as it is. I'm not going to say I don't.
I love the track.
Yeah,
I was going to say, like, I could put. I wanted to try something with a little break behind it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, we'll try that. The thing is, I'm just.
Yeah, come.
Well, I can hear that. So hold on.
That's cool.
What I would say is that I love this track to listen to, but to DJ to, I would need a different mix. Maybe that helps clarify, but absolutely love the track. It's so unique. Go on then, Dabs, do your thing.
So the thing is, like, I get it. It's about the vocal and stuff, but there's parts in the tune where you could make it feel like it changes gear and it speeds up, and you can do that by using just breaks and loops and hats and whatever. I've just chucked a loop in here very quickly. It's not in the same pattern, but it should sort of work to show the idea of what I'm on about. So if we just press play. So without
actually, I would invite you, Daps, to, instead of having it running all the way through, have that beat and then have that little beat come through, and then EQ. You know what I mean? So it comes in intermissions, just things to keep things interesting. That's really all this is.
But this is it. It's exactly. It's just a little something that helps fill that top end out, which I'm saying is missing, and also just to help it like progress and move. Do you know what I mean? But other than that, it's a great tune. It does what it says. So great work.
It does what it says on the tin. Makes you feel good, and it's a really good track, and by no means do I mean you should change it. I'm saying do a different mix, so that when you do release this, if it's on your own label or another label, you've got those different remixes. And I'd love to know where you got that vocal from. Good job. Really awesome. Great vocal. Because another thing that why it's good as it is as well is if you think about sync and licensing for a track like this, it could have, as it stands, it would be great. So one of the things, if you're using this, if you're sending this, imagine it in a commercial. There's always the hook of the song, everything drops out. And let's say the hook of the song, I don't know what the title is. What's the title of this thing?
Sorry, it was
Number one, no, I don't know. Is it
we were saying we're not sure. Number one Blammer, I think it is.
Number one blammer. So let's say it goes and da 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 da. I'm a number one blammer. Let's just say that the beats drop out and then it comes back in. That's the kind of thing an advert would use, a commercial would use, a film would use. Imagine Guy Ritchie, Snatch. Tell me that wouldn't be a perfect fit for that sort of film. Do you know what I mean? So it's important to think like, what am I making this for? Is it sync licensing or whatever? So I would love to see that in a Guy Ritchie movie. I think it would be perfect, that kind of thing, you know? So good job. Let's move on to the next one. Where are we going? Is it Jackie Ann Palmer? Jackie E? Sweet Memories?
Yep.
All right.
Jackie Inside. Let's do this.
Inside the Ride.
Okay then.
Cool.
Right. Hey Jackie, I hope you're well, because I know we've worked together for many years.
Oh, you guys know each other?
Yeah, I know Jackie from a record label called Deep Down Dirty. I think that's when you was doing like techno or something then, but I know you've sort of progressed into doing drum and bass and stuff like that in the last couple of years. So, I think the idea of the tune, the concept of the tune is all there. You've got all the elements. You've got the transitions and the changes. You know, you kept it very interesting. We got all the way to the middle breakdown, and it was still different. Do you know what I mean? I think on this particular tune, it's the mix that needs more work. So there was a couple of other things I noticed, and that was there was a couple of clashes with the key of the basses. When I was listening to it, I was like, is that out of key, or is it sort of like a weird, sound? But looking on the analyzer, I can see that they were completely in different keys. So let me just try and show you what I mean. So here, I believe it's around this area. Right, so there we go. So if we just enlarge this, you see this orange blob at the bottom here? That is what we would call the fundamental bass. And then you've got another line here, which is the bass, which is out of key. So one is sitting around G sharp, G, and the other one's in like F, if not E, around there. So it's a bit clashy. So if you have a listen to it, it's there. It's like that bass. And for me, is if you can just sort of push that down or get it in the key, that would work much better. The other thing was looking at the kick. So you see the kick here? It's not quite a solid blob. It looks quite phased to me because you've got a bit here and a bit there. It's not a continuous red or an orange blob. If you're not sure on how to read spectrographs, it's quite hard to explain, but these spectrograms are sort of like an ultrasonic scan.
They do look like fetuses, those little kicks.
Yeah. So to me, it explains so much. It's like we're doing an X-ray on the tune, and it really shows me everything within colours. So colours represent different things. Obviously, lower down here is the lows, the mids, and the highs. So I love the use. I love the use of the "Can't Stand the Rain" sample. You've took that in there really, really nice. It would just be nice if you did more side chaining, but before you did the side chaining, you need to find out what's going on with the kick. If you're layering the kick, I would try and flip the polarity on one of the kicks, like do a phase reverse, and see if that makes it fuller, because at the moment it doesn't quite look right like a kick. It just looks a bit blurred. Where's the other bit? See, the whole side information is just full of that bass. Again, if you could sort of narrow that bass a little more, make the hats wider, you'll start bringing the right elements out. It's like there as well. There's something either going on with the sub or the bass. There's some sort of key clash in there. So I don't know if you're using samples in a sampler, and obviously some of them are a bit off key or whatever's happening. I don't know, but as I say, the tune itself is there. It's interesting, but it's just the mix that I feel you need to work on. Work on the side chain from the kick and the bass. Check the kick, see if it's in phase, and then it would just come together once the mix is right. Rap, what have you got to add to this?
So you guys know each other, but I don't know you. I'm curious. Maybe Jackie, you can put in the chat. Who would you? I don't know. Who would you like to? Who are your musical heroes in the genre of drum and bass? You used to make techno, so what sort of tracks? What artists do you really like in drum and bass that you're like, oh my god, I wish I was making music in that vein? We all have tracks that we've heard that we wish we'd made. I'm just curious where you are stylistically on the graph of drum and bass. Like, do you like this sort of lo-fi underground sort of drum and bass? Because I've heard a lot of tracks today that don't fit in with drum and bass, but there seems to be a new style. And I said someone mentioned it in almost that lockdown D&B. It's that very underground, and I do see that a lot more cropping up with new artists, like actually stepping away from the traditional, and personally think it's a breath of fresh air, and doing something a bit different. So is it your intention? I'd like to know your intention. Is this sync licensing, or is this something you want all the DJs to play? Pretty much a lot of my comments were about the mix. Yes, there's some clashing stuff in there, but that's easily sorted. I've just put, what are you listening to, and what genre would you say you're aiming for, or are you aiming for something new? Because it's hard for me to critique it if I don't know that, because this is so different from everything else. Personally, I love the way it just ticks along with all these cute little and quirky little vocal bits and drops and things.
Yeah.
I think it's just interesting.
This
and
one is interesting.
It's interesting, and you know what? If it was bad, I would not have let it play that long. Trust me, because my finger is hovering like that MailChimp little monkey. And you send them, with the sweat and bee. I'm like, yeah, but no, I think it's really interesting. I like it. Do I think DJs will play it? Not in this way. But do I think people will listen to it? Absolutely. Do I think it could be working for sync and something? It's almost got that 9 Inch Nails, like it's odd, but you can't stop listening to it. It's like, this really enjoyable little car crash that you want to watch. And I really like that. Let's see what you've written here. I'd like to have this track radio played.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is as well, like for me, it could be used on like an advert or games or something because of the quirkiness of it. As I say, it's very original sounding. And again, just going back to what I was saying, if that mix was sort of back into shape, it would fall together. But in a case where if Jackie came to me and said, I've got a tune that I need you to master, this is the sort of conversation I would have with her in terms of the mix. And then you would make those amendments, and then if it's good to go for the master, then we'll do the master. So, it is about communication, and like you say, Rap, just finding out what's the aim or what's the direction of the tune.
We're seeing in the chat here a lot of talk about intention, and as a label owner, let me tell you what I would be looking for. I would be looking for, can I play this track on the radio? Will it get Spotify? Is it something the other DJs will play? Or is it such a radio hit that it's liquid, it's beautiful, and it doesn't matter if it doesn't, but then you'd get remixes done, right? So as a label owner, if I got that, I would absolutely not think that would work for the radio. And I'm just being as respectful as I can, but I would look at sync and different things, and I wouldn't even know about the remixes because it's just unique in its own little world. So for me, this would fall into gaming, sync, and something like that. This would not fall into a track that would be played on the radio. If you're interested in mixing techno, look no further than Dimension, because he mixes techno effortlessly with his tracks. And you may say, no, that's not real techno, but you're stepping into our world now. So what a lot of people are doing in their tracks is they're introducing 4 to the floor, and they're having these techno tracks that happen for like 16 bars, and then it goes off. Look at the remix of One Guinness, One Spliff, right, for example. I always get the title wrong of that track. One Guinness, One Spliff.
No, but you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
So, thank you for agreeing with me all the time.
No, you're right though, by saying about like when you go to one genre and people say like, well, that's watered down, or it's this, or it's that, but then when you come to the other side of the pond, you're the person to say that.
I had a stream that we did for new producers on Saturday, and we combined it with a charity stream. And one of our DJs had flown over, not one of my artists, but he's a tribe member, and he flew all the way from America to play. And I said, so what style are you playing, because that influences the way the night goes? And he was like, bit of everything. And I'm like, no, you're in England now, mate. Get specific. What style? I don't know, a bit of everything. I'm like, that's not going to cut it. What style? Be specific. Be specific. If your goal is to get on the radio, what are you listening to on the radio? Like your track that has been a huge monster radio hit. Find those tracks and listen to the arrangement, listen to what they're doing. But if you want to look at how techno works in drum and bass, then you've got to look at the artists that are doing that and smashing it. Tracks like is it -1, and all those tracks like it's all Dimension and all those boys. They all put that 4 to the floor and techno vibe in there. And it's not a real, and I love techno. I actually make techno as Dark Wave, as different pseudonym. So I know what good techno is, but I wouldn't presume to I want to make techno. You can't bend it to your will. You've got to sort of look, because there are certain rules of drum and bass that just work and have to be adhered to. So if you want that techno mix, what I would do is make sections of this 4 to the floor, and then make sections of this that are proper D&B that kick off into that scene. So perfect to look at Dimension for that, because he does this standing on his head. In fact, he does it every single track. I think he uses the same drums and just does. I'll just change the bass line. It's basically the same tune 10 times over, and he does it brilliantly, and he's amazing. But that's not a diss. I'm just saying he's the one to look at for that stuff. All right, moving on. Let's look at Danny Jeng. It's a track called Shout.
Okay, let's do this. Yes.
Wow.
A nice bit of jump up for you. So this is absolutely, it's really good. It's really good. There's just a couple of things really I can only say about this. The side chain from the kick in the bass, that you need to work on your side chaining, because there is sort of no indication that the kick here, you can see this, the blob like we were talking about earlier. See how this kick is a solid blob? That's a kick. And then it's leading into the bass here, but there is no indication that the kick is carving through the sub. So I'm not talking about doing it in a way where it's like sound design, so it's bouncing. Just do it so that it's transparent, so there is no sub when the kick is present. When listening to this, I just felt like it was very kick driven and there wasn't a lot of sub. So I'm thinking, are you aiming for loudness? Because that's what a lot of people tend to do. If they want this super high levels, they tend to drop the subs back just to get that extra bit of loudness. But if you was to use the side chain in the kick with the bass, you would achieve that with a lot of low end. So using this EQ, you can see that around 30 hertz, I've had to push it 6 dBs just to sort of push that 40 hertz. I've used a low shelf at 50 hertz at 1 dB as well, just to help again lift it out. So if we just press play, I'll just bypass this for a second. And then with. So you even see in the wave here, look how orange it is. It needs to be red. It needs to be red. Like, that's when you know your bottom end's full and it's there. The kick is glowing red, but your sub is not. That's orange. So if I turn this back on again, look how your sub wakes up. So yeah, all the elements are there. It's great. It's absolutely brilliant. I love what you've done with the vocal. It's just that whole sidechain thing for me. I'm just looking at the levels now. So yeah, I mean you're peaking around the minus 4.5 lufs, which is great, and it's about right for jump up. But yeah, just have a think about getting that sub up more and carving out the bass, so the kick can sit there, the sub can sit there nice and loud, and then it'll feel fuller and bigger. And that's my only that's my only critique on the tune, really. Other than that, it's great.
Awesome. Hello, Jenk. Is it Jenk? Is that right? Or Jenks? Danny. I really like this track, and I was going to say the same thing about drums, but you took the words out of my mouth. It's probably something that I would be very... It's all right. This would be something that I would sign probably, but there's a couple of things that I would like to see. For me, a little more variation in the drums. It could get a little draggy at points, and so for me it'd be nice to hear again a change in drums. So you know how you hear like 4 bars of your drum beat and then like maybe a different break come in and then go back to your drum beat and some more edits and things like you did, you dropped the beats out and you had that. But for me, that is the only way sometimes jump up stays interesting. It's all about those little edits, a little hut and the things that you put in. But I would sign this. I think that vocal is wonderful. Not sure where you got it from, but it's definitely a track that I would play first before signing. I will say that I always test tracks out because that's the only way to know and see how the crowd reacts to it. But I think it's really, really good. You could do interesting things like where the track is moving along, drop everything out, let the vocal just have a little, for a beat, a word like whatever it says, like drums, 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 vocal drop, you can make, just keep it interesting with little, I call them turnarounds, and you know, things that just make the track interesting, you know. But apart from that, I think it's a really great. I don't really have a lot to say about it, because when it ain't broke, don't fix it. It's a really good track. That's what you're saying, is it?
Yeah, Danny, well done, bro. And Drillo G, big ups, mate. Welcome in. But as I say, you know, it's a great tune. It sounds very current. It sounds like what's out there at the moment. So you've done a great job. You just got to get that tonal balance right at the bottom with the sidechain.
Yeah, and if you are interested in that, definitely email me. But I'd like to know always with any tracks that I'm interested in where the vocals are from, and because, you know, we don't want to get sued. Neither do you. So I can always help you out by letting you know whether that will happen to you or not. But good job. It's a really, really, really stellar track. Good job. And definitely one I think DJs will play non-stop. So, all right. Okay, let's go to track 6. Gosh, we're only halfway through.
Anthony, I'm not doing too bad. Not too bad.
No. What I meant was we've got a lot of tracks to get through.
Well, yeah, we've got a lot of tracks, and if we've got some time, remember, keep your questions coming.
Yeah, that's right. We're supposed to do those at the end as well. Okay. Just to break this up, I forgot about that. It's been a while since we've done this. Just to let you know, if you are interested in submitting your tracks and you're new to the stream, how it works, you just go to djrap.com, hit the Join the Tribe tab, and underneath there is a drop-down menu and it says Open the Door. People who are signed up on the mailing list can submit their tracks, and I will send you newsletters when you can submit. We'll do this once a month. Daps and I are committing to that to help you guys out. And thank you for that, Daps. Okay, so Anthony, what's
the next one?
Interstellar Complex, Reaper of Repairs. I don't know why I have 2 titles for every track, but let's listen to this for a bit and see how we do.
Okay. Hang on a minute. Which one are we on? Yeah, not
Anthony,
Danny.
Anthony Sakateki.
Are you sure? I think we're on Brett.
Oh no, okay, all right. So my bad, Brett. Let's do Brett. We're not in order here.
Yeah. So
I mean, you could just play whatever you want.
You've got an order.
You just play whatever you want.
Okay, so Brett, let's do this.
It's called Frozen Liquid. Cool.
Nice. I was in dream world there. I'll be honest with you. That really keeps you going.
Someone put here, if John Carpenter made DMB. Hey, you said that.
Oh my! Hang on a minute. Something's going weird here. Big up Moisin in the chat.
Hey, hi there. Do you want me to go first,
Okay.
or are you okay?
Yeah, can do. Yeah. My mouse has gone a bit sleep here, so yeah, if you want to go, that's cool.
All right. For me, this track could be absolutely monster, but it's just too polite. You need to drag it and get dirty with it in the bedroom. It needs sound design. It needs drums waking up. It needs like, that bass. Like, for example, if you've got a sub, you need to put a little distortion on that. You need to put you need to put little bits of distortion on a lot of things. There's just, to me, it's just too polite. The beats need to smack a little harder because it needs to be a good Liquid track, right? And if you listen to Liquid, often it's like with a Reese bass line that's filtered down. It needs to have that little bit of buzz and grime to it, just to it's like you've written the track, but you've not done any of the sound design yet, it feels like. And I'm telling you, you can have a monster track on your hands because it's so beautiful. It just needs to be brought up to the standard of the Liquid tracks that are out there. And by that I just mean like processing your sounds. To me, that's what's missing, is the processing.
Yeah.
There doesn't seem to be any processing. Would you say the same, Daps, on this?
I think for me, what we're getting is a sense of fatigue because of the low end. The track is just nothing but low end. So if I was to apply this tilt, which I'll do in a minute, and then we re-tilt the track, then play it, it may come across that the high end elements are there, but we're just being overwhelmed by low end. So it kind of makes you feel a bit like suffocated with bass, if you know what I mean. But otherwise, yeah, it's
I mean, I love the track. I think it's so beautiful and has so much potential. To me, this would be a demo and not a polished, finished situation. Now, if you don't know how to finish it, don't forget, that's not a big deal. You can always send it to, and there's multiple people that you could send it to who will finish the track for you and bring it to that level. And if you guys need help with that, we can recommend people, certainly. No problem. Just email me and we'll do that. Or we could put that in the chat at the end. I mean, I've done that.
Yeah.
There's no shame in it. If that track was polished and finished and ready to go, I would sign that in a heartbeat. Absolutely.
good.
Let me put your door in so you can do your thing with the mix.
Yeah. So, I mean, going back to when you were saying about adding saturation and distortion, we're not talking about crunchy, like, oh, let's just drive this through the wall. Raps is basically saying to bring out the harmonics, bring out some more details in the track itself, because you can use saturation and you can use distortion in a very pleasing and a very sort of nice way.
Just to add that little bit of grit.
That's all it is.
It just brings out the frequencies a bit more.
So again, going back to colours and stuff, even Reaper is showing this as a very like pinky purple sort of colour, which indicates low end. So let's just tilt the track and see where we go with it all. So
sounds like you're pulling a Tom Cruise inverted move with the track there.
But do you see what I'm saying? Like, I'll put this EQ back on and I'll bypass it, and you'll notice that it instantly wakes up. It feels more open and bright. So yeah, then I'll take it off again. I think we're just going to a breakdown here. So let's go back to where the drums are a minute. So take the EQ off. It's just gone back to that really like feel, and that's what sort of fatigues you. So as you said, Rap, all this needs is a bit of work in the mix, bringing the sub down, bringing some more excitement into the drums, into the percussion. Possibly again add some more loops like hi-hats or something to help it change gear. But again, these are the stylistic choices. It's a great tune. It's very, I think DJ Ride said I was mesmerised, and that's sort of like how I was, just sitting there listening to it, and I felt drawn in,
The most important thing is the tune good, and it's great. That's the most important thing. Everything else in this track can be fixed, but you have made an interesting, beautiful track, and I expect to hear big things from you in the future. Let me just look what I wrote here. So melody's perfect for radio, Spotify, beautiful drums. Yeah, same for bass. Needs filtered Reese bass playing the same notes. Percussion. I would invite you to swap that bass sound for a Reese sound. A filtered Reese sound. And I don't mean the heavy Reeses like. Brrr, I don't mean that. I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Listen to oh God, there's so many liquid tracks.
Next Sky or
Netsky, or listen to LSB and the kind
Yeah.
of tunes. This is where you're falling into. That's your market. LSB.
Just go on
with,
Hospital. Just go on to Hospital Records and have a
although they're
listen.
getting harder and harder. But what I'm
Yeah,
saying
yeah.
is, if you listen to LSB's mixes on YouTube, you'll get a good sense. Let me give you a piece of advice that's free here. Make sure when you're making music that you have your ultimate goal track in your door to A/B against. Because again, what I'm hearing a lot here is a lot of these tracks, whilst they're great, obviously people are just doing their own thing and they're not really listening to what's happening outside. So the fact that you're this good is amazing, but I would invite you to put your favorite, like what's the most, oh my God, best liquid track I've ever heard. I wish I'd made this track. Put that in your door. Bring the volume down so it matches the volume of your track, and then A/B it and go through it forensically, bar by bar by bar, and listen to what they've done. Okay, this section they've got an ambi kick, like there's a and then there's hat coming. Oh, there's some sort of Foley going on here, some white noise. Oh, okay. How does that bass sound? Do you know what I mean? Like, is it quite growly? Is it? I mean, Moisen actually showed me a great plugin that I use to this day. It's Melder, and it's a lovely distortion little plugin that I use on there. And it just brings out the harmonies, because all distortion plugins like Rift and all that, they're all different. And sometimes you're just like, I just want it to pull out those harmonies a little bit, and I might not like the distortion that Serum makes. I might prefer this distortion. So it's about keeping it soft and fuzzy, but at the same time, like vibrating through you, because you want that. So I would definitely listen to LSB's YouTube channel, because he's got one mix on it. It's got some ridiculous million amount of views in every single track. Put it on in the car, put it on when you're shaving, just leave it on all the time until it's in your brain how things should sound, because you're right there with the making of the track, but you need to get right up there with the sound design and what's missing to take this from a level 6 tune demo to over the top, like everybody clamoring to sign it. So if you can do that, I think you'll have a monster track on your hands. Well done. It's absolutely beautiful.
And as Moisin's saying, like the Melder plugins,
the Wave Shaper,
the Wave Shaper, absolutely brilliant. And the best thing is, you can get a whole heap of Melder plugins for free. Just go on their website, download the free. There's no limitations other than you get a red box just saying please donate. But there's, from time to time, they do like offers, and I remember buying that whole bundle for £6. So it really does not break the bank, and you've got a whole heap of plugins. Like, well, just go on their website, you'll see it. You get a lot of stuff.
I mean, I'm not a fan of telling people what plugins to buy, but the ones Daps and I use, we use all the time. And Melder is one of those that I use all the time. I use Rift as well. I really like Rift, but for 808s particularly, I use Rift. Whereas for Reese bass lines, I find that Melder does the best job in giving me those Reese bass lines that I really, really like. But it's really down to you. I mean, obviously, I don't have a lot of plugins, honestly. I'm just Serum and just a couple of other plugins, and that's it. I use this. I learn how to use what I've got and get the most out of it, because a lot of the Ableton stock plugins are amazing as well. But honestly, it's just about how you use it. For me, Serum using the multiband is really good for me, and I get enough out of using the distortion, and I might combine that with another plugin. I believe Dash, you use Isotope a lot. Daps, don't you?
Yeah.
Dash.
Yeah, I mean, Dasha and Dasha.
Dash.
No, I mean, as you say, you're from a producer's perspective, and then for me as a mix engineer or mastering engineer, we all have our little go-tos of plugins. There's some people that swear by all the Fab Filter stuff or the Isotope stuff or whatever bundle. But the thing is, just use what you feel comfortable with or what you've got, you can afford to buy or whatever, because even stock plugins nowadays can do as good of a job, and there's a lot of people showing this and displaying this on YouTube and stuff. They're showing the curves, so don't be fooled by this because it's the best. I've over the years I've thought, there's got to be free alternatives of this plugin or that plugin, and I've come across some amazing plugins from doing that.
Yeah, and there's so many YouTube amazing tutorials. I mean, I have my head stuck in a YouTube tutorial pretty much 6 days a week, you know, if not seven. And I'm always learning and I'm always watching because you can't know how to make every bass. And if there's a bass line you like or a liquid track, just type in how to make this track. And I'm telling you, there'll be a video showing you. It's amazing.
Yeah.
All right. I hope that helps. And again, good job. So I believe now we're into Anthony's track, which is called Intense
Intense Complex Reaper of Repairs.
It may be the way you've all sent this on the files, or maybe the way I got. I don't know why I've got a double title for everything, but here we go.
Yeah, Intense Complex. Big ups, bro. Welcome in, man. Yes.
Selector Anthony, we love you because you are in a world of your own, and no one makes what you make. You're completely unique, and I think you make this amazing ambient like drum and bass. It's just like, you know, it's just for you, and it's amazing. I love it. And I don't mean it's just for you. What I mean is it's just you. It's so unique. There are a couple of things inside that track. There is actually a gem of a bass line, but you have made one thing that would turn this all around. The last note of the bass line is out of key with the rest of the track. And it drove me crazy when I heard it because I was like, oh, if he just nailed that last note, it would fit. Daps, could you just play that bass line a second?
Yep.
There.
Yeah.
It's
when
just,
it goes down.
Yeah, it's just out of key and it throws you off completely. I think it would really benefit you if you want to make music Aphex Twin, weird music, trippy music, whatever. It's still got to sound pleasing even when it's raw and melodies are rubbing against each other. So it might really benefit you to take not a couple of, I don't want to say lessons in tuning, but to learn how tuning works and watch a couple of YouTube videos so that, you know, because there's actually a really good bass line in there. It's almost like the Verve meets drum and bass meets Aphex Twin.
Would you say the bass needs to come down like a one semitone or something like that?
I need to listen to it again.
Should we just give it a little whirl? Check it out.
Oh yeah.
That was down one key halfway through.
I think it's going to be too hard for people to know what we're doing. You can try it again, but...
Okay.
Yeah, no, that's too hard for anyone to understand what you're doing.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense. But I know what you're trying to do, and I hear you. I could play it, but I don't have my keyboard or stuff set up, because one of the things Daps and I made an agreement over is there wasn't going to be two producers trying to put their imprint on a track. It would just be one giving verbal advice and one doing the mix and mastering, because that's what most people seem to need help with. But if I was playing that, I would probably drop it down a semitone. I'm not sure what key that's in, but it sounded like it do 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 do. It needed to go to that
G1.
note.
I think it's
G1.
G1.
So it probably needed to go to G. It sounded like it needed to go down a semitone or a whole to F. I'm not sure. I would have to play it.
E.
Okay. So
It goes G to E.
okay. So right now it was going do 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 do, and it's not quite hitting the do, and it needs to do that. Is there a part of the tune where the bass isn't in it? Probably not, that you know.
I think
of.
it might have.
No, don't worry.
We've got a bell ride. We've got the bell ride.
Okay, so anyway, that's the thing. Again, you know, I think that, Anthony, you just make music that you like to make, and I think that's a beautiful thing. But again, what's the intention? That's really, really important. You know, I don't think there's anything wrong with making weird and wonderful, and that's the space you're living in, and that's completely fine. But I would love to hear from you about what your intention is with the track. Are you intending it for a dark movie or like radio sync, or, you know, do you want DJs to play it, or is it just honestly for people to get mashup to? That's fine too. You know what I mean? Like, what's the intention? And I can give you better advice, because I don't want to, let's say you're like, do you know what? I just want to play underground, tripped out parties where people sit on cushions. It's Burning Man. This would be perfect.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? I was just at Burning Man. So it really isn't like, well, this isn't drum and bass. To me, it's like, whatever flicks your switch, man, turn that switch on and shine bright. But where is it you want this to be played, and how do you want it to be played? Fix the tuning of that bass, and I'd say you're good to go. I'm going to give it back to Daps for mix and master.
So I think, just going back to your comment, Intense Complex, you're saying that you're honoured for it to be called drum and bass, even though you're going down the hip hop route. It is obviously half the speed of drum and bass, and I think what it is that normally, well, from what I've always heard from yourself, is drum and bass. So maybe that's what rap was sort of saying. But yeah, it is in this sort of like smoky atmosphere. Like this tune's a proper chiller, you know. If you was to put a reggae beat on it, it'd be all over. Do you know what I mean?
And that's a really good idea. Daps, that is such a genius idea. Like, I would invite you to try that, man, and then kick off, like, start off the intro like that with some reggae vibes, and then, you know, do a drop, and then do 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 do, and then go into some drum and bass, because right now it's ambient D&B.
That's what I'm saying, and you can get some nice like delays being thrown off that are out of sync to the tune to really give it that, you know, old school vibe. But just to obviously give me my 2 pence. You know, the track's there, everything works. For me, I'm guessing you've used like a bit crusher on these synths, which is cool. I like it, but you've got to just be careful with if you've used bit crusher. It sounds like you have to me. When you're using bit crushing, you've really got to, you know, reduce the tops, because they can be a bit scratchy. It can be a bit fatiguing over time, and because the pads or the keys go out throughout the whole tune, it can get a bit fatiguing. So, you know, just as simple as something like this. And it's just tamed them. It's just tamed them instantly. So if I just play and then take the EQ off, it's like instant digital. Zzz, do you see what I'm saying?
Man, I hear that bass line. Do, 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 do.
Well, this is what I'm saying.
Do.
You know,
it needs to go to that note. I am going to...
Oh, sorry. Yeah, go on.
No, I was just going to say, I was going to go up to the piano and just get the note of it, and then I can tell you where that last note should go.
So look, the bass here is absolutely brilliant. But it is just a single sine wave, you know, and again, if you want to keep it on a chiller, cool, but if you do want to help make this work on smaller speakers, you would need to use some sort of harmonics in there to add like a second and third harmonic, because it is just a single sine wave at the moment. It's quite high, about 80 to 100 hertz. If you was to drop it an octave, it would be more like that. I mean, you're going to need headphones and speakers for this bit. But see how deep that is?
Yeah, you need a deep sub for that, man.
See what I'm saying? So let's get rid of this a minute. It's a lot. So yeah, I'm sorry, bro, but I've completely transformed your tune there. But yeah,
I actually
you know what
like
I mean?
it dark, yeah.
So yeah,
All
so
right.
if I take everything off and go back, this is where we were. So it's just food for thought, really. It's a cool tune.
I think it could be really interesting if you made that more dubby reggae with some vocals like delaying out,
Yeah.
like you said, and I think that could be fantastic. Like breather burner tune, you know, they don't. There's not enough interesting music like that. So, you know, God bless you for making that kind of
Yeah.
music. I love it. You know, so yeah, good job.
Excellent
So for the
tune.
last 20 minutes or so, we're going to do your questions. So do keep those ready for us. And at about, I guess, maybe 1:45, you could start firing questions at us if you want, and we can start answering them. But the next track we're going to go into, is it Jay Machiavelli?
Machiavelli, you know. Yeah, that's the one.
Machiavelli, you know all about him, little devil.
Okay,
This is
Machiavelli.
called Soul Foundation, The Demons Within.
Right, just bigging up Conclave, SRS, welcome in. Let's do this. Lovely jubbly.
Lovely jubbly.
Nice, nice.
Am I going first? Okay.
Do this.
Do this. Let's see what
Give
I've
it to
put
me.
on. Well, I really like the track. but I think you've got the classic problem of 2 tracks in one. And I don't think the intro matches the drop. And often people who aren't trained musically won't hear that, but the whole drop and everything is completely out of tune with the intro. So where it went wrong for me in the sense was that trumpet. The trumpet, you were trying to marry the two things together. Trumpet works with the bass bit, but it doesn't work with the intro. It clashes actually, and it's not in tune. And only, look, like I said, that maybe that wouldn't bother 80% of people, but on a big dance floor, it's the difference between someone just feeling completely at harmony with the track or just getting this weird feeling. And they don't know what it is because they're not classically trained, but it just feels weird. So to me, pick one side and tune up like the intro to match the land. Because if you notice, it seems to go up a notch. I mean, Daps, did you hear that?
Yeah, I kind of noticed it more when the sub came in because I was kind of questioning, is the sub out of key or is it the actual trumpets that are out of key?
No, the trumpet works with the sub when it comes in. It doesn't work with a guitar funky riff. And you don't need all these. You could lose it. I would lose that trumpet. You don't, or make a decision, but you don't need all of it. You've got the guitar thing at the beginning. That really works. Or lose the guitar thing and start with the trumpet thing and make that the theme that goes all the way through. So it's all consistent because
it progresses through.
It progresses. So you could start with the filtered trumpet, filtered, getting bigger and bigger and bigger. But you can't have both in this case. Just because they just clash. Do you know what I mean? And what happens when the bass comes in, you're like, oh, and it's not.
There's just a big step as well. There's a big step from the intro to the drop. I mean, you can even see in the wave that.
Do it again. Go from that drop. Just.
I'll do it just before here. Look.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll get the loudness meter up as well if it wants to come up. There we go.
Because that intro is a bit quiet.
I mean.
That's so cool.
Yeah, so groovy. Like honestly, There's really groovy there. You're hitting minus 17 lufs on the drums, and then just before the drop.
See, I don't know which one to listen to, and that's important. Yeah.
See, I get like there needs to be like a drop, but like when it drops, the step is too great. It's too great of a drop. We need to close that gap a little bit.
What I do with this is I would rework the intro to fit that drop because the drop was great. Another thing that I think was missing from this, and again, by the way, it's a great track. I really like it. I really, really like it. It's got the sound of summer. It's awesome, but there needs to be some variations in the drums. Again, it becomes a little bit repetitive, and you need to have drops like, drop out all the drums, let the trumpet do a little bit of work, for a stop, for a beat. Fills, alternate drum beats, things like that to keep it interesting, add a shaker in there, like for 2 bars, like and then back in again, and with that dun dun dun, you could time stretch that, pardon me, or you could like make it dum dum boom back in again, all about those fills, all about those variations. There's a fantastic tune right now that's on my Cool FM show. I don't know what it's called, I've got to look at it, but it's got all those sort of vibes, and again, find tunes similar to that and you'll see what I mean. I really love this track. I think it's got a lot of potential, but I would rework to make the trumpet the mate sound and then keep that intro and make another track with that, because you've got 2 great tunes trying to make it into one cohesive track. And for me, that just, even though they're both great elements, cohesively together, for me, that doesn't gel. It just makes me think, oh, they're out of key. So, but that's, again, look, it's just an opinion. That doesn't mean, you've got a good problem. You've got 2 great tunes there.
Yeah.
So you need to you've got 2, rework the intro to that second one so it fits with that sub, because the trumpet fits over that sub fine. That would be my main sound, not have 2 main sounds that clash and are not talking to each other. Because when you're doing call and response, it has to be a clear conversation. Da 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 bang bang da, da. It can't be da da diddle da ba. It can't be going, there has to be a clear conversation. I'll put it over to you for mix.
So
That's it, really.
Done.
My technical abilities there stretched to the max.
Just saying about, like, you know, just before the drop, if you was to have this intro as it is, and then it comes to the breakdown, I would have like a sub boom, dum, and then have the guitar or have the trumpet coming in like this.
That's a great idea. There you go.
So it kind of,
and
like,
then you're building it up, right? And then and then it's not a shock when those drums and bass come in.
When it drops in, it's So tonal balance. So let's just drop it in, because I felt personally it's another tune where the Amon's very spitty, it's very bright. Amons are tricky to get right in tunes. I'm not going to lie. They're either too bright or too boxy. But just looking again before I reset span, you can see here that the top end, that's the Amon. This line here, that is the Amon, and everything else feels a bit like on the line. Again, these are just visuals that help me when I do mixing and mastering for people. Yes, we use our ears, but when you work for 8 to 10 hours a day, you sometimes have to utilize these visuals to sort of confirm what you're hearing or what the senses you're getting. This don't lie, the spectrogram don't lie. But let's look at the low end and the tops. So even on this
that
EQ,
section works so well, though. I love it. I love
nice.
it. I mean, it's a really cracker of a track.
I would come round with this section earlier, but lose the trumpet. Just lose the trumpet here and just roll.
For some variation.
Yeah. But anyway, so just again. So yeah, a massive move here. We're talking like nearly 4 dBs of reduction in the top end, and that's purely from the Amon. So in a mastering perspective, you couldn't master the tune as it is, because by doing this move, I'm just completely deadening everything. So I would say go back, sort the Amon, reduce those tops, and then, because you're going to lose a lot of volume, bring the volume back up, because volume can be worked as EQ at the same time.
And I would say definitely use Daps's idea, actually, and that's the way to marry the tune. I didn't even think of that, and it's good call, where you just bring it in with a boom and then bring that filtered like a trumpet in. I think that is a perfect solution to this, and then bam 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 boom 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 into it.
It's one of those again. It's very like high contrast feel. You know what I mean? Like logistics sort of feeling. Everything's there, but you've just got to arrange it.
And the best part about this? It will never sound crap and old and boring or dated. No. It won't date. This has got legs, and for a very, very long time. You've got the makings of a classic if you get it right. So totally big ups there.
Yeah, the tune's great. So, just have a think about what we said. But as you just said, Rap, this has no shelf life. You could play this in the next 5-10 years and it would still sound great.
Absolutely. All right, let's move on to Induction, Hazley, Bells and Santa Fe. Oh, don't give away now.
No, Induction, he always, he's a good producer.
I know. I have a feeling about this guy.
Yeah, all Induction, right. Are you in the chat? Are you with us? I know you was looking forward to tonight.
Don't know, we'll find out, I guess. Let's roll.
Oh, no. Sorry. Everything we're playing then.
Certainly not how it goes.
All of this is temporary.
Oh gosh.
Oh my goodness, that was beautimous.
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 Yeah, I see Moisin was feeling that one. Some great notes there, mate. That's definitely up your street. I know that, mate. Induction, what can we say? It's a great tune. You know, all the elements are there. All the, you know, I was looking at the spectrogram and you can see everything. You know, you can see the fundamental from the snare hit glowing nicely, the kick, the bass. It was lovely. You know, I can't fault this tune. He's done a great job. I'm guessing it's like a self master, which is cool. Remember where I am, bro, when you do need it mastering. No, Induction's a cool guy, man. He's doing some really cool bits at the moment, so go and check him out. I was having a poke with the EQ around the low mids just to sort of help bring the kick or the snare out a little more, but I don't know, it didn't do anything good. So I have nothing bad to say. So maybe you have some thoughts on the arrangement or the track, as in the way it's been laid out. But for me, tonal balance wise, the mix wise, this is all good for me. I've got no issues with it.
I got nothing.
I got nothing.
I got nothing but love. I got nothing but love. It's just amazing. Yeah. I wrote here, I simply love this. I would sign this. That's it. I love it. I want it. But here's the thing. The thing with you, Induction, is vocals. Like, you pick vocals that are amazing. So to work with a producer like you, we would need to find you original vocalists, because if that's a sample or that's from another artist and you can't put it out, then you're just going to be forever tight. You have the same problem I have, is I'm really good when I get a vocal and I can write a tune around a vocal in like 2 hours, tune done. Do you know what I mean? But it's harder for me when there's no vocal. So it's a real effort to write instrumentals. And problem with Loop Cloud and Splice is every other mofo has already used the vocals. So there's 5 different versions of this track going around with the vocal that you've done. Do you know what I mean? So what I would do if you were signed to my label would be focus on trying to find you vocalists, or focus on you trying to find vocalists. I mean, at the end of the day, there's TikTok. You can approach all these people. And this is why sometimes, like, you know, there are artists on there that are amazing singers. You could send them your track and say, how do you feel? Not the whole track, mind you, and make sure it's an MP3 and just a little bit. Say, how would you feel about a collab? And try to work with original singers, because honestly, like, you said that vocal is what?
I don't know. I was just texting him now on Facebook going, where are you? Are you in the chat? Come on, bro. And he's like, yeah, I'm watching. So I'm like, speak up, bro. Where are you? Do you know what I mean? So from what I gather, I think the vocal might be from something, as in a tune that's out there. I don't know. You know, I live in a cave.
If it's
I live in a cave.
Captain Caveman.
You know
So,
what I mean?
like, you know, look, if it is an original vocal, that's a big tune, bro, and you're going to do well with it. And I would definitely love to get my little paws on that one. But Indeed. I've got nothing to say about that, except for you're fantastic, and I think you're going to do big things. Let's move on before his head swells so big it don't fit in the chat.
Oh, gosh.
Right,
moving on. Who do we have?
Ido?
I don't know.
I don't know. Ido Sar we've got, so let's have a listen.
Okie dokie.
Don't need gimmicks. Give me a fly beat and I'm all in it. Give me a fly beat and I'm all in it. Because I don't need gimmicks. Give me a fly beat and I'm all in it. Give me a fly beat. Give me a fly beat and I'm all in it. Don't need gimmicks. Give me a fly beat and I'm all in it. Give me a fly beat and I'm all in it. Because I don't need gimmicks. Give me a fly beat and I'm all in it. Give me a fly beat. Give me a fly beat and I'm all in it. Give me a fly beat and I'm all in it.
Nice. As we roll back, Rap, are you going first, or do you want me to jump in?
You go first.
So, definitely on a nice jungle vibe. I like how
Shooter.
Yeah, I like how there's a lot of people that are still keeping jungle real, because I believe like there was around 2013, around that time onwards, there was this thing called new school jungle or like hyper jungle or something like that. But it was just very jungle breaks with kick snares, and a lot of people are losing the kick snares now and just going back to the original breaks, original beats, and sort of chopping it up. And I really like that. Doms, are you still in the chat, bro? I mean, this is I think this is one of your sort of style tunes. It's sounding pretty cool, man. Tonal balance wise, so when I was just playing the track, I could see that again it's a single sine wave, but it has some edge to it because it's like Reese, but it needs to be sort of amplified more. So we'll play it and I'll show you. So you can see like the bass line here, just that's that orange line, and then you've got this other ghost line above it. That's the first harmonic. It'd be nice if you could have a bit more of that, so it glows more than a second or third, just to help it translate better. And I'm being really picky here. If anything, again, more sub. It just feels a bit shy in the sub, but then again, it's not pushing like high levels. So you can see like on this one here, the tops are nice. It just needs more of this lows down here. Because all we're getting is this. So it'd be nice if we could, have that octave lower to really fill it out more. But other than that, it's cool. It's got a nice groove. Going to the intro. What I was saying to Rap just on the private notes was I like how you've time stretched these drums, but I wouldn't have gone down the time stretch route. I would have either half timed them in pitch so they play slower, or cut them from the kick, hat, snare, and then in the flicks, and then separated them so they play at half speed rather than you stretching it out. Alternatively, you can use a really cool plugin called Ackizer if you're on PC. This is it here. And basically, it is an Akai sampler. You just chuck your loops in there, and you can time stretch. You can do all weird sort of things like, the old DJ Slip Mat time stretches on the Amers.
Pull that up again so people can see it for a little bit longer. It's
it's very small. Like it's you can't change the size of it, unfortunately. So I'm sorry. that's right. You have to like really zoom in.
No worries.
So just type in Ackizer, but it's only available for PC. And you can get some really cool time stretch stuff. I know, Rap's like, God damn. Yeah.
Piece of crap.
So, yeah,
Sorry.
Other than that, it's the tune's really, it's nice. It's there. I think if you was to have this mastered, it would definitely put it in the right ballpark. I'm sort of guessing you've brought this up to a loud level yourself, like a self-master or something. But, yeah, I mean, it's a cool tune. There's just a couple of things I would do differently, but that's stylistic choice again. So Rap.
For me on this track, I don't want to tell people what I would do with a track, because for me it's like that's your personal choice if that's where you want to go. But for me, I would have had the first bit half time, then I would have gone into a faster break, then I've gone into that drop, because I thought if you just go from one bar sort of before it goes into the drop. Daps.
Sorry, I was just reading some of the comments.
To me, okay.
I'm trying
to me, that was almost
lazy.
a double drop. Like that would be so cool if that was a double drop that just went into that and then started building until you got to the actual bass line. I kept waiting for it to take off. For me, it never did. But that could be your intention with the track, to keep it in this this whole new school style of drum and bass, which seems to be the theme tonight. There's a lot of tracks like this sort of like lo-fi. So if that's the vibe you're going for, again, for me, I don't know the intention of the track. So I can't tell you whether it needed to change or not, because if your intention was trippy track, sync, movie, then no change needed, except for the stuff that Dap's obviously talking about. Do you know what I mean? But for me, it's like I was waiting for it to go somewhere, and for me, it just stayed the same, and then it got a bit like monotonous for me. So there needs to be changes and variations made in this, and switches if you're going to keep it on that, you know, sort of grime vibe and things like that. Then you need to do some variation so it's different, like especially like you could do triplets with the beats. You could do like doon 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 doon. You know, if you want to have that heavy 9 Inch Nails sort of vibe drum and bass thing, then you've got to put some interesting changes in it to make that happen. And that's really all I could say about that one, really, because
the thing is, like,
I don't know the intention of the track.
I mean, SRS was saying he would chop the hell out of the breaks and stuff. So, and it's true. You know, you could bring in an Amen as a fill. You know, so it's because I think it's the copter break at the moment. Yeah, so it's the copter break with another jungle break sort of pitched up on top. Just zooming in now, looking at the tune while you was talking, I can see that there's an inconsistency with the sub. So look, one's let's just move this out of the way. One's showing like quite pink and the other one's orange, so that means there's more bass on the right, or sub on the right, than what there is on the left. So let's just play this in sides a minute. Yeah. So yeah, there's a lot of bass in stereo. You need to tighten that up, get it mono. You know, mono below 100 hertz. But I'm going to just experiment here. I'm going to play the track in right side only. Left. Yeah, there's not a drastic difference, but if we was to mono the bomb end to, I don't know, 200 hertz. Take it off. Yeah, okay, so let's look at this meter here. Look at the line. See this line here, right? Sorry, just move that out of the way. Without the low pass, sorry, the high pass in the sides. Watch the line.
Oh yeah.
It's moving around. So let's just put this on now.
It should be down the middle for those of you wondering.
Well, sorry, with this particular one, you want to be to the right.
But what are you talking about though?
So this, yeah, not the actual this bit here. This line here.
I'm talking about the sub.
Yeah. The sub,
the sub should be in the middle, should be centered.
Yeah. That's the one. So I'm just talking about how this line drifts, and this is representing phase. So it really needs to be between the 1 and the 5. So let's just put this high pass in now and see where it sort of holds to. Yeah, see, it's hugging the 1, which is great. Do not want to be anywhere down here because you've got some serious stereo problems. But again, it's just things like this. Get that low end nicely focused in mono. You know, it'll feel better in a club. It'll feel better in a car. It'll feel better in when you listen to it on headphones. But yeah, try and switch it up with some breaks.
Yeah, I mean, look, without knowing stylistically what the intention of the track is, it's very difficult for me to give critique about arrangement and stuff. But for me, those were the things, like, you know, just it needs some variations. I think we've got time for one more track, and then any questions we have. We're going to go to DJ Ride, a track called, again, I've got 4 different titles: Grumble, Freaky Style, D&B. I don't know. Maybe that's the style of the tune. D&B Free. You let us know, Ride. You're in the chat, I believe. So without any further delay.
Rap's like, God damn.
What's going on here?
Okay, let's do this. Let's do this. Oi, oi.
All right, you go first, mate.
Honestly, DJ Ride, mate, this is really well put together, really well produced too. So thank you so much for sending this one in. It was a nice one to finish on as well. Bare vibes, really bouncy, like the weight in the tunes all there. Statistically, like the tonal balance of the tune is absolutely fine. You know, this sounds great. I love when you come in with this feel, this bit here. I mean, looking at the spectroscope here, I mean, look, the snare is in its own world. Look, bang, bang, bang. There's no bass there. I can hear the side chain on it, but again, this is what I was talking about, carving out the space. You know, it's everything's punching through, the kick, the snare. It's brilliant, you know, there's no imperfections of it. The only thing for me, because I was just waiting for the loudness to kick in, so for this to be on a competitive level with other tunes, it's not loud enough. I believe the track would take more because of the way it's been mixed. It's been mixed really, really well. So don't be scared. Like, push this a lot harder on your limiter or the clipper or whatever you got on your master bus. You just need to push it that couple more dB because you're not quite at that sub-focus level, you know, in loudness. The track is great. It would definitely sit well with you know, up-to-date tunes, modern tunes, but it's just not loud enough. Again, you know, it's, if you want to talk in layout, I mean, rap would obviously step in on that one, but as tonal balance and, you know, the way it sounds, I have no issues with this. It's cool. It's a really, really groovy tune. So excellent work, DJ.
I feel like tonight we've almost been listening to a new genre.
Very different, yeah, very different.
And I was saying to Daps in the private chat, it's a breath of fresh air actually to hear tunes that just, because a lot of these tunes are so far away from drum and bass and what's being played out there, but that's really refreshing too. And it's like, I think it's really good that you guys are finding your own voice and playing stuff that's different and very underground. And who knows, you could be the forefathers and the next foundation producers of the next thing that's coming, which I think is pretty exciting. So I think that's cool. Remember to get your questions ready because this is our last track. So if you've got any questions, start putting them in the chat. Can I please remind everybody here that we're here to encourage producers. We do this for free. This isn't a forum where everyone can just jump in and dump what they think about each other's tunes on there. And always be nice when you're doing this. This could be you. It's incredibly scary to have a tune reviewed by bigger DJs, bigger producers, and always be mindful about how you say things. So I will insist on that because we will block people who we feel have been unkind. After that, though, let's go into this. I've got great mix, nice use of percussive elements and drums, Aphex Twins vibe. I really like it. Again, I'm not sure what the intention of this is because you're kind of another one of those producers that lives in your own world and produces you've got a very distinctive style, and I really like that. You're able to make multiple different genres, and I think that is a feather in your cap, definitely. You know, I don't really have anything to say except for, you know, it's whatever your intention is. For me, this is more filmic, sync, licensing. Again, it more falls into that. Does it fall into radio and what's being played out there? No, not typically. But again, without knowing your intention for it, it's definitely got its own vibe, and the way you've paired the percussion and the way it just knocks, and it's just, you know, I wish I could make percussion like that. It's a really good job. Well done.
Yep, Seth, I'm just scrolling through some of these, and you say, hello Daps, I think it was you I was chatting to a while back for some help on a tune I created. I'll be back in contact soon. Yeah, mate, just get in contact whenever, wherever. Always here, mate, always happy to help. Big up Ethel, Sprightly Inside, True Jungleette, rather.
We've
So
got
yeah,
some
the
questions
next-
here. I
Okay.
have a prop because now it's question time before we wrap up. So thank you firstly for everyone who was brave enough
Yeah.
to send us your tracks. If we didn't get your tracks, we will do
big.
them in October. The ones that are left over. I think Dats has made a folder of the tracks we haven't done, and we'll carry them over. And we'll give you a date when we're going to do that. You'll know when we know. I'll send a newsletter out to those who subscribe, and I'll put the link in again right now for everyone. But Daps, there is a question there. But let me just
Yeah,
post
so
this
DJ
link.
Ride. Yeah, no worries.
No, hold on a
So
second.
so you have a problem getting it loud without squashing any plugins. Well, this, hang on, because the chat's jumping around. So this is all down to the mix. But as I say, looking and listening to your track, you could push it further where you are. You know, don't be scared. A lot of the tracks you hear out there have coloration due to how loud they're being pushed. I mean, there is a difference between, oh, this is smashed to this is on the brink. Do you know what I mean? So how are you distributing the loudness? So are you grouping your drums? Are you grouping a kick, snare and percussion? Are you grouping subs, basses, effects, and then limiting them, you know, to take the stress off the final limiter, the final, clipper, if you want to call it that? You have to distribute the loudness across the mix, and then on the final master output, that's where you can start getting, the final loudness. But I've got a feeling that. Yeah,
I
sorry,
think, I was just going to say, I think maybe it could be useful to do an open the door where, you do a track that I've done and then show them how you sort of fixed it. In the sense of mix mastering, and if it helps, and so we could do a show and tell of a track easily at some point. So, but yeah, I think. For me, Moisten helped me a lot when it came to learning about this side of things and balancing my mix. It all starts with the mix, and I don't actually put any limiters or anything on initially until I feel I've got a good balanced mix. What I start with is I get all my drums together and I group them. I get all my basses together and I group them, my melodies and I group them, my effect. And I make sure to put like just a utility on the end and, just a nice balanced mix. And then I'll start adding limiters and doing all those things afterwards. But I think that if you start off with just a good general balanced mix, lower it down by about 6 dB, so everything's nice, there's plenty of room there, headroom, you've got room to play. And what I do on the groups is I put like, either a limiter or a utility, something like that, so that I can pull the whole group down. But so let's say I get like kicks, snares, all the drums, right? I balance them out and then I put them in a group, and then I put that limiter or utility on that group so I can control the whole group and bring it up and down in level easily and get the mix balance with the sub. And I work on the sub and the drums first. That's just the way I like to work, and everything else works with that as a balance. But it's not about the plugins. It's about getting that mix right initially and then adding all the stuff to make things louder, because you can incrementally make things louder by adding limiters and all kinds of stuff to your master channel and blah, blah, blah. We did a whole open the door with that, didn't we? Where we showed people how to do that. So it's on YouTube if you want to look back further. It's under Open the Door on my YouTube channel. You should see all the previous ones, and there's a lot of information on that on there.
Yeah. But also, sound selection is key. So I get a lot of tracks to be mixed down, and, their goal is to be, I want it like this reference. But, choosing the right elements, the right sounds is the first thing you've got to get right, because if you're using some crusty sounds, you're not going to be able to get them up, how you envision it to be. So choosing the right sounds, I know that's difficult. It's a stylistic thing. It's going to be difficult, but it's like choosing the right colour paint for the house first, and then you can put your decors around it or whatever. It's a bit of a crap analogy, but choosing the right sounds will help the mix by at least 70%. So
we've got a question here from Paul Whitaker, and he's saying, are we thinking of doing an offer paid Open the Door for present to continue? We're going to do a monthly one for 2 hours once a month, if we've both got the time and our schedules allow us to do that, to give back to the scene, which we think is important.
Definitely.
Resubscriptions, I don't know. It's really difficult right now. People are struggling for money. It doesn't feel right to just, do something. But the main thing is like, if we do a subscription, like I have a subscription called, obviously joining the tribe, and that's been going for 4 years now. A subscription is for life. Once you start it, you can't just stop it, and let people down. So it has to be well thought out. It has to be something that you feel you can commit to for the rest of your life. And Daps and I have formed a partnership in this way, and we do discuss it often. And what I do at the end of these streams is I send a newsletter out to everybody who's signed up, and there's a poll you can fill in, and then we get, every time we do one of these, more people answer the poll, and we get a better idea of what you want, what you think it should be priced at. And then if one day we decide we are going to make this a subscription, how we'll do it is because of the input and feedback that you've given us. But at the moment, we're happy to just give back for free and do this once a month for a couple of hours and just get your, there's two types of subscriptions we could do, right? We could just charge a $5 and just simply give you feedback. Or we could do a more intense subscription where we do show and tell. You get into the door, I show you how to make tracks, he shows you how to make tracks. But that's really intense, and it takes a lot of work, and we would need at least, I would think, 200 people signing up for us to be like, we can commit to this to life, and this would take precedence over everything else. So if you are interested in signing up to the newsletter, you will get that poll, and then you can give us your input, and you will tell us what you want. We don't do Patreon. It all is off my website. And it's all self-sufficient, and we do it together. We don't do that because, why should we rely on another website that takes 20% and could crash at any moment and, charges tax and VAT and all that, where we can do it much cheaper. So, it's something to think about. But right now, I think we're both really happy to give back, and do it like this.
Induction, he says, Daps has helped me with my production over the last few years. Would highly recommend using his services. Thank you, bro.
That's nice of you to say.
Yeah.
Well, if anyone's got any questions, now's the time. Otherwise, we're going to go. So what is the best plugin for bass lines? Is the Cube any good? For me, Serum is the best plugin for bass lines.
I think it's down to personal preference. When I used to make jungle music, I used to love using sub boom bass because it just worked in that genre, but it wouldn't work in Nero or Liquid.
But that's why I'm saying Serum, because it does everything.
Yeah.
You have to understand how to make a bass, though. Like, if you want a Reese bass or you want a sub bass, it does everything, right? You just have to know how to do it. And there are amazing, there's so many preset sample packs out there for Serum and MIDI packs. And but for me, Serum is awesome because you can go on YouTube and literally there is thousands of bass lines in the way you want to make them, with people showing you how to break it down. And then they'll just use something like, these plugins to go on top. Let's say we're using Melda or Decapitator or Isotope Trash or whatever, and everyone will show you their way. 1,000 billion ways to make a bass line on Serum.
Yeah, so Intense Complex, you say, what do you mean by crusty sounds? So it's kind of like low quality, if you've got a sound that's been regurgitated over and over and over from sample packs, like a kick drum, and then it's gone to that sample pack, someone's gone, oh, I'm going to manipulate this kick, it's gone to another sample pack, and then it's ended up on Splice. I've noticed so many samples on Splice that have been stereoized to the point where they're unusable. So people are dropping them into their tunes, and you're just kind of like, can you mono this? Can you try and get, reduce the stereo imaging that's on the snare? And they're saying, well, I can't because that's the snare. So I'm like, well, you're going to have to pan it, and not pan it, but like isolate the left only or the right, whatever, just to get that natural hit back from it again, because it's just, unusable. So crusty, probably not the right term, but it would be low quality samples or samples that are sort of like non-mono compatible and stuff like this.
Is Nexus worth me buying? I saw that as a question.
Nexus was free. The Elements was free last month, I believe. So I think that's just an invite to then pay for the higher one. Nexus, I think, in that more focused around vocals, if I'm right in thinking. Like Isotope Nexus, it's more vocals.
Really?
I think so, yeah.
I think I bought it ages ago, years ago.
Oh, hang on, Nexus,
and never used it. No, it's a synth,
the synth, sorry, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what it's like now, but I bought it years ago, and I've never, it's not my go-to. I've just never,
I used to use that.
But that's up to you.
Yeah, I used to use it for pads, excuse me, for pads and sort of like dreamy pianos and, you know, big sort of like epic sounds. But as you say, Rap, it's whether it's the style of music or whatever you're doing. But I know it's got some cool stuff in there. It's deep program, but...
Yeah. What's your opinion on using presets? I think any way that gets you there is good. I think you can use presets, but I think learning how to tweak them and what the parameters to understand the parameters and what each parameter does will then make each preset sound individual to you. For example, let's say you're brand new to Serum and you see a Serum pattern in the LFO window, right? And it's got that jagged sort of pattern. You can save that, go to a preset and apply that pattern. And now suddenly it's your own sound. Do you know what I mean? You've got this amazing sound. So it's very, this is why I love Serum, because it's quite easy to use, and you know it does what it says on the tin. You know, it just does everything. And so for me, I don't think there's anything wrong with using presets if you can tweak them and make them your own a little bit. And even if you don't tweak them, it's the way you use it. But don't be mad if someone then has used the same patch in exactly the same way on their track. Do you know what I mean? So the difficulty with using samples is how to make them sound unique and how to make things sound unique. Often with a preset, it's just changing it to a fifth or a seventh will change it, or going in the little edit button in Serum, adding some harmonics, or, you know, lowering it down or in pitch and doing things like that. There's a load of things you could do to just make a tiny little bit difference. Even on the filters that you use, where you open the filter up or close the filter, can make it sound more open or closed. So, you know, but just the LFO shapes on there, just changing those can make drastic differences. And what I do in days where I'm not feeling super creative, I'll go to my studio and I'll just make sounds. Make sounds.
Patches and stuff.
Patches, store them in my Serum under good basses. And then, you know, I've got, when I'm ready to play, I've got all these basses I can scroll through and I go, that one, boom. Well, you know, that's the one I'm going to use. So, yeah.
Just to add to it, I mean, again, I think it depends on the circumstances or the situation you're in, because, again, going from a mastering perspective, if I'm working on vocals and I feel like they're not quite sitting right, or 3K is a bit too, you know, spiky or whatever, Soothe has got some amazing presets to start you off.
Soothe.
You know, so you can go to Soothe and you go to the vocal section, and then on the vocal section you've got, you know, presets called "So You Messed Up the Vocal Recording," or "Take a Little Bit of the Edge Off," or, you know, just silly names, and then you just put them on, because in reality someone's created these to fix a problem, and it might be a problem that you're dealing with, so you could just go straight to that, and then tweak it a little bit to your liking or to where you are with the tune.
Heidi, I have your set saved. Thank you. That's really sweet of you, Villa. Appreciate that. Oh no, that's Mr. Mondeo 37. Thank you. Look, there's no door that I'm going to sit here and go, this is the one to use. For me, it's Bableton. I love Ableton, right? I'm a babe. I love it. It's just the best door for me. But I've also used Logic. I've also used Cubase. I started off on Notator, and you know, back in the day. So it's all about you just knowing your door inside out, backwards, forwards. Ask not what your door can do for you, but what you can do for your door. I mean, just learn it well. So whether you use Fruity Loops, whether you use whatever you use, it doesn't matter. Just know it. That's really it.
I mean, I was on Cubase for at least 10, 15 years. Loved it inside out. And then I got sort of introduced to Reaper, and it was a little daunting at first, because it was a bit like, oh God, I don't like this and I don't like it for that. But all of a sudden, I just loved it, because you can change the program, you can manipulate it in ways where it works for you, not you having to adapt to how the program works. So with other doors, say like Fruity Loops, Cubase or Logic, you have to learn the system, you have to learn how that works. But with Cubase, I could turn it into Logic if I wanted to, I could turn it into Ableton if I wanted to. It's very versatile program, and for me, mastering or mixing, it works for me perfect. I'm not saying it's the best door, but it works for me, you know, and I can work very quickly and efficiently on Reaper.
Have you played around with Slicer? A lot of comments going on about that right now. I haven't.
No, because I mean, again, I don't really find time to make beats or anything anymore. So
you're
Slicer,
just mastering them tracks, aren't you?
I'm just mixing and mastering for labels and.
But feel free to share your experience with other people. If you found it was really good, let them know. You know, You're talking about the time stretch and it works now, Akai style. Well, you can do that in Ableton too, and have been able to for ages. You just go to the page where you've got the filters. I'm trying to do this without actually having it in front of me. And there's a way it's called granular synthesis, and it basically breaks down all the little granules when you put it in the sampler so that you can move it along, and it just gives you that, and it does it exactly the same as an Akai. And that's my go-to. So I've got a video up. I used to do a thing called Music Tech Collective, and if you look on YouTube, Music Tech Collective, you'll find that page, and there's a whole video on granular synthesis, and it's all Ableton stuff, but it shows you every parameter on there. So yeah, this is a while ago.
I like this question.
One?
About so it's from Paul, basically explaining, if you take a sample from something and twist it up so much that it's unrecognizable, what happens with copyright? Well,
if it's unrecognizable, it's unrecognizable.
If it's unrecognizable, it's unrecognizable. You know, at the end of the day, you'd be surprised on what gets used in tunes and what people get away with, and even in major labels, major artists and stuff.
I mean, look, it's a grey line, right? I would never encourage anyone to do it, but lots of people do, and they get away with it. But here's the thing. Where there's a hit, there's a writ. So if you have a massive, massive tune, sometimes it's better to beg forgiveness than ask permission. Because if you look at like P. Diddy, I think he did Every Breath You Take. Do you remember? And this is a huge tune, and I don't think they had sample clearance for it. But anyway, a lot of hip hop guys do this. A lot of hip hop artists.
Yeah, I mean, look at Wu-Tang, man. Like.
And then they pay afters because it doesn't matter. Yeah. The tune's massive, and actually, the controversy is with drum and bass. Look, if you're selling 1,000 copies of a record, it's very unlikely that anyone's going to take you to court for that. Having said that, there are fines of $250,000 for people using Batman samples or film samples in their tracks, and you know, you just might be the unlucky person that they come to and go, no, we're not having that. I can't say. But if you make something unrecognizable, you know, but it's a lot of effort to sue somebody. It's a lot of effort unless you've got a lot of money. So if you're Joe Schmo and you've sold 200 copies of a track and you've got a massive sample in it, people going to come after you? Probably not. But at the same time, think about how that feels if you...
2,000, 10,000 sales might be a different story.
Yeah, but also think about how you'd feel. I'll come after anyone who uses my stuff. I'm a bulldog. I don't like it. I don't like it, and I will end you. I will end you. But, you know...
It's like, okay, I'll go now.
All joking aside, right? All joking aside, you just got to think about how does that feel for the artist and, you know, that kind of thing. So... It depends. As loads of people get away with it. I mean, you at your own risk.
Yeah, basically.
Is Paz Analyzer still your go-to plugin? I don't know if that's to you.
I've not used Paz for about, I don't know, 7-8 years. Paz is okay, but it doesn't quite show what you need to see nowadays.
What is the best platform for releasing music?
I think it's down to the aim of what you want to do.
Do you mean distributor, or do you mean the actual platform? Like, who's got the most reach?
Yeah, Seth. Just to reiterate, like Span is free as well. Span's like
Span, Voxengo.
It's probably the best one out there.
Yeah.
But no, yeah. What's the best platform? I think again, it's if you're aiming for Spotify. Yeah, so I mean, if you're aiming for Spotify, then Spotify.
Well, there is no best. They all pay abysmally,
Exactly.
and they all just like take the mickey, if you ask me. But what I will say is Beatport is the place where the DJs go to buy the music. Spotify probably has the most fan base of listeners, you know, which is good. But you want to hit them all, which is why the question you should be asking is not what's the best platform, is who's the best distributor. And that is Cygnus, without a doubt. Without doubt. And I don't ever endorse anybody unless I use them myself, and I've had nothing but a stellar experience. So Cygnus is the best platform for me. They do a great job, but you can certainly self-distribute yourself without going to a big distributor. But the aim is to be on all the platforms. You want to be on Beatport, Juno, you want to be on, you know, God, all of them. You want to be on all of them. So yeah, a good platform will get you a good self-distribution platform will be giving you access to all of them. Some of them charge monthly fees for that, you know, which I think is fair enough. I don't know, but you've just got to research. But for me, Cygnus is the best.
So Seth, yes mate, if you if you meant Span, yep, Span is the one. It's the analyzer that I use throughout this whole feedback in the top right corner. It's just that I use Span Plus, which is the paid one, which gives you extra bits and pieces to add. Like I can put those lines in, and to me they represent something. To someone else they might be like, what do they mean, or what are they there for? For me it's a guide in some sort of way of levels, loudness, don't go over sort of approach.
Okay, let's talk about Bandcamp. There's a lot of artists who once they do dub packs on their website. They do exclusive. Bandcamp, I find for me, is better for physical product like vinyl, merchandise. Obviously I sell everything off my website though, but I use it for vinyl. Particularly, but if you don't have anywhere else, it's all about Bandcamp is about building community and staying in touch. Bandcamp fans are very different from people that buy NFTs. They're quite different from people that go on Beatport, and it's sort of a bit more of a community vibe. And if you put the effort into that, you could even start your own Discord. There's a million ways to do it. So yeah,
Bandcamp's cool, man. It's a really cool platform.
Hashtags, I'm going to disagree with you, Villo. Hashtags don't really do anything anymore. And I spend an awful lot of time working on social media and researching social media. You only need like 2 or 3 hashtags. Like if you're releasing a drum and bass track, you don't need the 50 that we all had before. Just D&B, new release, blah, blah, blah. That's it. But for Bandcamp, I would strongly advise you to work on the community aspect of it. It goes a long way when you take the time to get to know people. It's one of the problems that bigger artists have, is because they become too big to answer each fan message individually and to build that community, which is why I did the website, Join the Tribe, so that I could interact with a group of 200 to 300 people and give them my full attention. The people who actually invest in me, I'm going to invest back. I make sure they get first dibs on everything. And we have gatherings, we do streams, we have meets, we do VIP. It's endless what I do for my tribe, because they are taking the time to invest in me and I want to invest in them. We've created this amazing community, so I would suggest doing the same for yourself. Okay, anything else here? I think maybe we have come to the end. If you are interested in the tribe, just go to my website, djrap.com. There is a Join the Tribe tab, and if you're interested to know what that's about, just click on it. It will show you. It's free for the first month to join, and prices start at $2.99, less than a cup of coffee. Good blimey. And if you're interested in opening the door and submitting your tracks and you like this, then feel free to click on the sub menu under that. Just sign up to the mailing list. It's free, of course. And we will let you know via a newsletter. We don't spam. Just let you know like a week, 2 weeks before when we're doing one of these things. Basically, Daps and I go, when have you got time in the calendar? And then we figure it out from there. So massive shout to everyone who joined us today.
Yeah,
absolutely love you guys. It takes a lot of courage to do this, and what I'm particularly proud of is how nice everyone is in the chat. And that's really nice, man. Really nice. Good job, everyone. And Daps, thank you for being my wonderful partner in rhyme. Nothing but love for you, mate.
Honestly, it's a pleasure, absolute pleasure to be here with yourself, the queen of drum and bass jungle.
Oh God. All right, everyone.
Inside.
Much love to you guys. Have a wonderful week. And any of my tribe members watching, I'll see you on the stream tomorrow. You going to say something, Dabs, or are you good?
Oh, big ups London, inside, or London. I'm going to get back to you tomorrow, bro. I've got you 2 tunes, so I'm going to get back to you tomorrow.
All right, everyone. Love and bass.
Yeah, big love.
See you on the next one.
Nice.
Open the door. Us.